What's up everyone? Shane here with ROA Off-Road. As you can see, we're on top of a hill and it is pretty crazy out here today. We brought the MDC Forte 9 Plus to do a full walk around and tour, and the weather is just not being really nice to us. But I think it's kind of perfect to showcase why you want a trailer so bad. Some people are like, oh, I just like tents, right? I assure you, a tent right here, right now, would be a horrible experience. It's really not even fun being out here. We got like 30, 40 mile per hour gusts, and this little Forte 9 is like a little fortress of solitude to protect you in this type of weather. But I'm gonna walk around this unit. I'm gonna try to go in a reverse so the wind's not hitting me and you can hear me good. So let's get going. Let's walk around this thing and showcase the Forte 9 by MDC. Okay, so the unique thing about this trailer, and the reason why you might be interested in it, is the size and the weight. This is a garageable trailer at a total height closed at 7'9". So it's gonna fit into an 8-foot garage, which is really, really unique and cool. Not a lot of trailers can do that unless you're talking pop tops. This is a hard wall. It does have a pop top canvas, and when it opens up, the total height open is 10'1". And so you have lots of headroom in there that you can stand up. It's almost the size of a teardrop, but it expands and is much larger. You can go in there with a full bed. We'll get inside in a little bit. One of the other things to note is it's only 3,090 pounds. So it's gonna be towable by a lot of mid-size, smaller vehicles. And that will just allow you to be able to, have more vehicle options, be able to get into tight spots. The trailer is also a lot smaller. Comes at a total length of 15 feet 1 inches long, that's end to end, and about 7'7" wide. And the tongue weight is only 317 pounds. So it's very light. Now the MDC, they're really, really good about using incredible components. As you can see over here, it's a mess. It's really dirty. I wrote wash me earlier on this thing. This thing was spick and span about an hour ago when we brought it up the hill and these winds kicked up and it just got dirty. So apologize for that. But the Truma system right here, the AquaGo, awesome water heater. It's an on-demand water heater. And this is gonna be good for your kitchen sink outside. It will be good for your shower. This does not have an inside bathroom. You do have all of your bathroom stuff right out here. This slot right here, you slide in a canvas room and it comes with this, and it comes out and you're able to have a fully enclosed outside shower, which of course this is your shower, hot and cold water, and it's gonna work right off of that on demand. The nice thing about that being right next to each other is your water is practically gonna be instant on demand because it's gonna sense it right there. So you can see the shower right here. This will come out and it's hot and cold water, of course, so you can have those nice comfortable showers. You also would put your toilet room right here. And the freshwater tank capacity on this unit is 31 gallons of fresh water. So you have a pretty good amount of water for such a small unit. There is some storage up front for jerry cans if you want to bring more water. Before we move up there, I do want to talk about some of the components, the Tough Tracks, the Mega Hub, the BM Pro, the Life Pro. So this thing comes equipped with lithium, solar, 525 watts of solar on the roof, 200 amp hours of lithium, all with the BM Pro electronics. BM Pro is a competitor to Red Arc, similar type of system. So it's gonna control your DC to DC charging from the truck. It's gonna control your charging through your solar, so it has a built-in solar charge controller. And then also it will take your shore power, which is right here, and you have a 30 amp connection right here. So if you do pull into a campground, you wanna plug in, right there you have that. Or if you wanna get some cable TV, throw a satellite dish, whatever. It does have a TV inside. Very well equipped for such a small little trailer. I love how they put this plate on here and then just engraved, laser cut their MDC USA TV inlet. It's just nice little details. Now right here, this is your freshwater inlet for your pressurized city. So you can be at a campground and plug in and have pressurized water, or you can fill up that tank right there, and you can see once again engraved metal little labeling. I think that's really, it's a nice little detail. A lot of trailers we've had over the years, they don't even label it, and a lot of times people will print stickers and put them on themselves. So lots of details. Down here we have the tires. It's a Good Ride tire. This is a load range E tire, way more tire than what you would ever need on a small trailer like this. It is a 265/75 with a 16-inch rim. This has a mega hub with electric brakes, the hub. It's overkill for such a small little trailer. That's one of the things that MDC prides themselves in, is their proprietary control arms, hub assembly. Their spindles are some of the biggest. They use genuine Timken bearings inside that hub, which is really important, not a knockoff brand or anything. Very quality premium componentry down on your suspension system. So the 12-inch hub with the electric brakes, also that independent A-arm suspension has a dual gas shock with coil springs, so you're an independent suspension. Those gas shocks are massive. They're about 7.5 inches in diameter, which generally most competitive trailers similar to this that are coming across the ocean, either importing from China or Australia, you're gonna see a 5.5-inch gas shock. Now, speaking about the frame and the chassis, has a lifetime warranty from MDC, and they do an FEA testing, and it's a factor 5 test that they run this through from independent people that come in and will test this, and they test the entire chassis, the drawbar, they test the suspension system, the attachment points, the chains, the safety chains, and they go through this thing, and it goes through much more rigorous tests than a lot of standard trailers on the market to truly be able to feel confident to give that warranty and also be able to withstand the rigors of the off-road for what it is designed. Not only do they run it through all of these independent testing, Australia's standard for off-road is much higher than the US standards as far as trailer manufacturers go. And we here at ROA, we have tested. We've sent this thing down to Moab. We went out there with the MDC crew, and it performed really well. We towed it with the small mid-size truck, a Nissan Frontier, and didn't even seem like it was, breaking a sweat. Anyways, let's move onward. My eyes are getting sandblasted, and I'm not even leaning towards this, so I don't know how your eyes are doing. So right here you have the onboard Dometic furnace. This is a single outlet inside, super small camper. This thing is more than enough, 12,000 BTUs. This is also on the big camper, so this thing is gonna heat this trailer up really well. Now, on a windy day like today, the one thing you don't want coming into the trailer is dust. And one of the things that MDC prides themselves in is these triple seal doors. These things are sealed very well. They say they're one of the best sealed trailers in all of Australia. You can see there's a seal here. We got a seal here. We got a seal there. So you got gaskets. And then this door is a cam lock, and it actually sucks in. So you're able to get a better seal. So when you shut this, it's gonna suck in and give you a better seal on this door. Now, opening this up, we have a pretty large storage area. I love how underneath you can see it's all carpeted. That's just nice, because things aren't bashing around as much. And then this is all your canvas. This unit does have an annex room that goes around the back and the front of it, and it essentially makes the trailer almost 2 to 3 times larger than what the footprint is on the inside. So it becomes a massive trailer. Has a 270 awning. Probably not gonna pull it out in this hurricane right now, because that's not smart, but you could pull it out and tie it down and secure it really well. But that's what all this is. Also your bathroom stuff and your poles. You also have a light right here to be able to see in the dark. Woo! Also, I want to talk about these windows while we're right here. These are a dual pane polycarbonate window. A lot of people ask, wait, why polycarbonate? Why plastic? Why not glass? When you're off-roading, you don't want glass. Think about it. Airplanes, they're not glass, they're polycarbonate or acrylic. Yachts, boats, they're all gonna be some type of a polycarbonate or acrylic. Polycarbonate is about 250 times stronger than glass in the same diameter. When you're off-roading, polycarbonate or acrylic is going to be ideal over glass. Coming back to the back side of the trailer, I do want to point a few things out, and then I want to go inside and show you the inside. We do have a backup camera. Also, you have a porch light out here, your spare tires right in this back area. This is a rear entry. Pretty cool setup. But you have your latches up here on both sides that you just unlatch. And this setup is super easy. you can actually utilize the trailer without even setting it up. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside without setting it up, and then I'll show you it set up. Now, welcome to the inside. It's getting a little bit out of the wind for a second. Feels really nice. The stabilizers are not currently down, so the trailer's wobbling a little bit, but you put those down and it would be pretty sturdy. I could sleep in here. Much better than a tent. But this is in the down position, and one of the cool things about this trailer is obviously you do not need to set it up to come in here and sleep in the bed or sit at this area to relax and lounge. We have a TV right here too, which is really nice. You can pull this out and be able to kind of just enjoy yourself while you're out on the trip. You know, on a windy day like today, I'm not going to be sitting outside by a campfire or hanging out in that, you know, hurricane winds. I'm going to come in here and just try to relax, read a book, watch a movie, whatever. And the cool thing is I don't need to set the roof up to be able to truly utilize this trailer in its entirety. The setting the roof up just becomes a convenience at this point, right? I mean, a lot of people buy teardrops and all you have is a bed inside of it. The cool thing also about having the roof down is you can take this into a parks where generally canvas is not allowed. Like you go into Yellowstone where usually they have canvas rules against bears. If you leave it in the down position, it's a hard wall trailer essentially from all the way top to bottom. Now, if you do go into an area where you can lift this up, it's really nice because you can then stand up and do whatever you want. And setting up is super easy. You just lift it and then it goes in the up position. And now this is massive, over 7 feet of height from right there. But right here, I'm 6 feet and I'm standing at the bed and I'm not even hitting. So you're over 6 feet at any spot in this area where you're walking around. Welcome inside. It is so nice to be out of that crazy wind right now. I'm really impressed with the canvas, how it's not making a lot of noise with the wind because it's blowing hard. It does look like a lot of the canvas has an elastic rubber band inside, and that kind of makes it a little bit tighter so it's not rattling as much. Also, these little chains have material on them, and that material is not as noisy. You know, it doesn't, like when it's just metal, pure metal, sometimes they ting a lot. So talking about this bed, this for such a small little trailer, this trailer is really, really cool. This mattress right here is quite large. It's comfortable. It's not, the dimensions of it is not a queen. It's about just a little under 80 inches long. So the same length as a standard queen or king as far as length goes. Obviously with this nice headboard, you have that diamond stitching. So you can create a little bit of an insulative barrier, but it's also just gives it a nice premium feel to it. You know, generally a trailer this small, this light, you just kind of expect it to be kind of bare bones, utilitarian, not really, you know, nice on the eyes. It's just this rugged little machine. This is very rugged and it is very strong and robust, but I love that they've also just added these nice touches for the ladies, right? You know, sometimes the guys don't care whether they live in a cave, but the ladies want, you know, they're what brings society some goodness, right? They bring goodness to society and the beauty. So to me, I just think it's really nice that they've done that right there. So the other nice thing about this unit is up along the canvas walls, there are windows that open up, and they're the screened windows, but they're also sealed very well. I mean, with this wind blasting us, we don't feel any breeze in here. I'm really impressed with it. But the lighting throughout the trailer, you know, if we were to open those up, it would create a lot of light and airflow into this area. And you can move that airflow around with this Sirocco fan over here. But it also would create a really nice light throughout the entire trailer. But even with them closed, you have all these can lights in the roof. You have this nice little light right here. And then of course the windows. But these windows are really cool. They have a screen for bugs, mosquitoes, and it's very, very fine. So you're not getting any little bugs through those. But they also have these nice dark blackout shades. So if you're trying to sleep, you can, you know, sleep at night, during the day, whenever you feel like sleeping. And honestly, like, this wind is just driving me crazy, and it's ruined my plans to showcase this trailer the way I want to. So I think I'm gonna just turn off all the lights, shut the blinds, and take a nap. So goodbye wind. Okay.
20 minutes later.
And there you have it. You get a nice nap right in the middle of the day, or you have it nice and dark at night. Moving on over to the booth area, this is a nice table for two. Easily you could work at this table without any issues. Now this table does move around quite a bit. You can move it to the side and step out of here, or vice versa. You can also get it out of your way when you're just inside camping. You can set it to the side and just use it as counter space. You can also completely remove this table and not even bring it with you. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. It does actually have a mount right here, and it adjusts up and down, or you can just slide it completely out. It locks in so it's not swiveling as much. So if you want it to be just more sturdy and stationary, there's all these levers down here, and it just doesn't. Now it barely moves. It's just kind of stuck in this position. And then you can loosen it up and swivel it around. So pretty cool table. It's a lagoon style table. Lots of different functionality, obviously. The cool thing about this space right here, if you were to remove this cushion, you have a pretty good size bed right here for a child. It's about 4 foot 2 inches long, just over 2 feet wide. So you could easily throw a child there. My wife would probably throw this cushion right here and squeeze our little girl in there and make it into a little safe haven for her to sleep at night. Over here, you do have a nice little storage pocket. You could throw some flashlights or miscellaneous goods in there, right next to your door. So when you come in. And then over here, I do want to point out the Sirocco fans. These fans are amazing. They have so many different adjustments. You also have timers. We have actually talked about also adding an air conditioner in this unit. We've talked about putting one somewhere in this vicinity. This unit obviously has a tremendous amount of storage. All of this entire area is storage. There are some components under here I'll show you in just a bit. But before we do that, let's just talk about everything on the shelf area. Obviously, we have a 12 volt, that's a cigarette lighter type of style charger. And then you have your television. If you move your TV out, this TV is a 12 volt TV, so it will work without the inverter on. And then you have your USB chargers right there, so you'll be able to charge cell phones. And then right above it, we have a regular standard 120 volt outlet. This works off of shore power or on the inverter. Right here, we have a stereo system, and it does also do Bluetooth, and you have speakers right up here above your head and also outside, so you can party. Coming down here, you see your wood cabinets. These all have a high gloss veneer, which means they're really easy to clean, and they also have locking latches, but you can see how big this drawer is. Lots of storage, and there's a good amount of storage on the outside as well. I'll show you later, but this locks in, so you press this button and then you twist it, and that's actually what engages this latch, and then you can shut it like that. Below here, we have a good amount of storage, and this is the entire depth of the cabinet. So you could easily put some bins or some stackable bins to be able to put clothing or whatever miscellaneous goods. You also have a little bit of storage underneath that as well. For such a small little trailer, this thing does have a good amount of storage. I would recommend also maybe in transit, you put some of your goods in right on the floor in a bin, and then you pull it out when you get to camp and then set stuff up. This right here is also a massive storage space. This goes the whole length as well. And then you also have some of your componentry right here. We have our water gauge, tells us where our water currently is at. You also have the BM Pro, I mentioned that earlier. This is what does all of your different solar charging. You can see right here, there's a picture of the sun. And even though it's kind of a windy, a little bit of cloudy day, this thing is bringing in 26.9 amps. That's a crazy amount of amps. And the reason is because of that 525 watts of solar on the roof. So we're currently using 4 amps while we're bringing in 26.6 amps. So that's a pretty cool system. It's all automatic. You can see that little sun. If you were to plug it into a generator or shore power, a little picture of an outlet would appear here, and then you would know you'd be plugging in. Now over here, these switches, you have your water pump, your water heater, your furnace, your fridge, your tank heating. So this does actually have heater pads on the tank, the freshwater tank. So if you do get to a cold climate and you are worried about your tank freezing, you'll be able to turn that on and prevent it from freezing. And this unit, we've been in it in 30-degree weather with that heat running, and it stays nice and warm. You don't lose a lot of air out of this canvas. It is a heavy-duty PVC, canvas. It's kind of similar to what you see in like the military. I prefer this over like the standard canvas because you have to season it and get it wet, dry it, and have it seasoned over time. And it's just kind of a process. This is really easy. You're just ready to go camping when you come with this. Now this last compartment down below, it is a full length compartment, very long here. And then below it you have your batteries right there. And this is your 200 amp hour lithium battery. So now that I've removed the table here, so I can showcase this a little bit, we do have our thermostat right here, and that turns on your furnace. There's your mount for your table. You have some vents over here, and that goes into your inverter power components. And then of course you have your fire extinguisher. This is your water heater to turn on your Truma. And then you have your inverter switch right here, and that turns on the inverter to be able to power the outlets that you will want to plug stuff into. You also have a battery disconnect and then a bunch of switches here, and all of these switches are for your outside. Obviously you're saying, man, that's kind of low, but the reality is when you you're usually using all that stuff, you're going to be standing right outside the door right here, and it's really easy to reach in and turn your switches on. There you have it, pretty easy. Also your water heater, you would just turn it on out here because you don't have a sink inside the trailer. Your sink's outside, your water on your main kitchen sink, your shower, it's all right there. So you're just gonna reach in and turn everything on right here. So it's actually pretty easy access to gain that right here from outside. But let's come inside, and I wanna show you some of the electronic components that are underneath the couch. Little detail, and this is pretty cool. There's a little thing that levers right there, because clearly if they didn't have that, it would come up and hit there and you wouldn't be able to open the thing. And also, they use a piano hinge, which is crazy, like so unnecessary. It would be easy just to use a cheap little hinge, but they use a piano hinge on this. And obviously piano hinges are way more expensive, way better quality, and that's what they've decided to use. Now, right here, you have all your electronic components. You're gonna have your shunt, and your shunt is what's going off of your battery management system. That tells you that calculates and shows you what you're using on your battery currently, your usage. Right here we have the inverter, and this is a 2000 watt pure sine inverter, so you'll be able to operate a good amount of stuff on that. And then over here we have all that battery management system, and you can see just how they zip tie everything together. The attention to detail, everything is really well run. And coming over here we have our water pumps. Everything has a corrugated plastic covering on it, so it just protects it. And you can see that when it runs through the walls, it's always has that plastic that's covering it. Also underneath the trailer and the chassis, anything that you're seeing, any lines running, they are always just protecting it with this. And then zip tying these things together, just like a lot of attention to detail when you're looking at these trailers. Even the wheel well right here is carpeted, and that's going to give you a little bit more insulation opposed to it just being metal right into this area and just creating cold air into here. And then right here we have the Truma AquaGo water heater system, and it's really easy access to be able to ever get into here if you needed to service something. Super easy access, which I really appreciate. Okay, as I put the table back up and sit down on this, it's actually a quite comfortable couch. I want to go over some of the materials that the trailer is made with. Now everybody always wonders, like, what is the wall made out of? Like this wall right here. What's the exterior wall? What's the inside wall? What's the floors? Because if you're buying an off-road trailer, you want to know about the materials. And I want to first talk about the floors, because when you're talking off-road, if you're doing river crossings, even if you're just driving down the highway and you're getting salt and water splashed up onto your subfloor, if it's plywood, it's going to absorb that water, it's going to expand, mold, rot, and fall apart. So what they actually use is this composite material, and this is a full zero wood polyurethane type of material. And like you can see, it's very strong, and it looks like kind of like a size of a plywood, but there's zero wood in this, all composite material. And that is what all of your floors across all the MDC lineup is made of. So zero wood in the floors, which is very important. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual walls. So the entire walls are all a welded aluminum structure. So the skeleton is aluminum and it's welded, and you can see right here, if you get into some really cheap manufacturing, they'll just spot weld. They do a full weld across the aluminum skeleton, and that all the frame inside the walls, the roof, is all this welded aluminum. And you can see they've kind of cut a piece open right here, so you can see that there is a foam core insulation in between the studs. And then this right here is the exterior panel, and this is an aluminum composite material. So you see right here, there's zero wood inside of this. It's aluminum inside and outside. So this is the exterior skin is aluminum, and then you have this composite, and then you have another aluminum skin on the inside with zero wood. The inside is also the exact same material. It just doesn't have that shine paint. You have a gloss finish inside, so it's really easy to wipe down and clean. It looks like fiberglass, but it's actually aluminum, and you can see right here, it's that aluminum composite material as well, with zero wood in the walls. So this is really nice, because if you ever have water that gets into the walls some way, somehow, moisture, you're not going to have it rotting, expanding, and warping anything. That's all of the walls that we're looking at. All of these walls, 100% aluminum composite materials in the Fort 9. Now, the cabinetry is a little bit different. You can see we have two pieces right here. This first one is actually the countertops, and this is a laminate or a veneer finish on the top. It's pressed to the actual plywood right here. This is a falcata plywood. This is very common in Australia, and they'll use this even in residential homes or in vans, campers. And the reason why is because it's a lot lighter than standard plywood. If you actually feel it, it feels very light, but it is actual solid wood. There's not a honeycomb in here. And then they put the laminate on the top, and that's what you're going to see on, you know, this table right here. That's what you'll see on the countertops over here, and that's pretty much the similar material across the entire lineup. Now, the wood itself is also that same falcata plywood. It's a little bit thinner, so it's not as thick as the counters, but you'll see they put a nice finished high gloss veneer on both sides of it. You can see this right here. It just has a really premium feel to it. And that's what you're gonna see with the cabinets right here, the side cabinets. Also, these cabinets that you're looking at when you open the doors, that's also what they're made of. It's just a different color, but essentially the same concept and material. The nice thing about this is we have had old trailers in the past with veneers, and the honeycomb veneers tend to have more issues than the solid wood or plywood veneers. So there you have it. It's very premium, nice feel to it. It looks very good. And that's just your cabinetry. The actual chassis below the trailer that holds the whole entire trailer up, the foundation, is that hot dip galvanized steel. They run the entire chassis all steel, but with the hot dip galvanization process. And what that is they'll drop the entire frame into a molten bath of zinc, and that it adheres to the steel, and then it gives it a protective coating that generally, under the harshest conditions, galvanization will not start to break down for 100 years. And that's what you see on freeway signs, galvanization. You'll see that at the beach, you know, posts out in the ocean that are, you know, coming right out of that salt water are usually going to be galvanized, because that is one of the strongest processes to make steel corrosion proof. Well, as you can see, there's been a scenery change. It was just too windy at the top of that mountain, and we couldn't quite showcase the outside of it without getting sandblasted in our face. So here we found a cave out in the wilderness. We've moved to a new area. I'm gonna grab this latch and latch the door open, because there's some things that I want to showcase about the door, and this is on all of the MDC lineups. This is a really cool door. It's called the Aussie Traveler door, and this screen is just so strong and robust. The nice thing is it also is lockable, so you can engage this and lock the door and keep the screen door open at night while you're sleeping in it. Be able to get a nice cross breeze. Also, you could go out for a hike, leave maybe a dog inside the trailer, and have this open and have a nice breeze and some airflow going to keep them nice and cool. This door also has it's a tri-mark door. So what that means is it has a 3 locking mechanism. So it latches here, here, and here. And this door will just never, ever pop open while you're off-roading. And then of course you have the polycarbonate window on the door right here. And to latch it back together, just go like that and stud it. One of the things that I really appreciate is all the signage on the trailer, you know, because MDC just really cares about the customer experience, and they want you to know how to operate your trailer. On the inside, there's checklists of, you know, departure checklists, what you need to do before you leave camp, kind of like close the windows, push the stairs up. Speaking of stairs, you have a dual step here, and these are manual steps, which I really appreciate because you don't have to deal with the motor potentially going out on you or getting all the gears getting all grinded or all muddied. Now moving up, as I mentioned earlier, there is the camera way up there now. That's for towing. But down right here above, right above the door, we have the light. I want to point one thing out about these lights, because all of these lights, they have the white light, which is very bright, but they also have the yellow light, so you're able to deter the bugs. Bugs generally don't get as attracted to this light. They do get more attracted to the bright lights, but of course, depending on the time of the year, this will give you a lot more light. Now or if you're in a cave, you might want more light like us. Moving down here, you have 2 recovery shackles, so you'll be able to, you know, potentially drag yourself out of a sticky situation if you ever get into one. Of course, you got your license plate holder. Moving down here, we have the stabilizers, and these stabilizers, you just release the pressure and you drop them down. You can also get a bit. It comes with a tool that you can crank them down, or you can get a drill bit and just drop them down really fast with a cordless drill. Of course, these are just for stabilizers. They are not to jack up the trailer. Your jacking points are right over here, which is on the frame. And that's where you can actually put a bottle jack and be able to jack the entire trailer up. Those are just for stability. On that top of the hill, when we were experiencing 40-mile-per-hour winds, trailer was it was rocking. It was surprisingly not rocking as much as I thought it would, but put those down and then it will be nice and sturdy. Of course, you got your signage right here that tells you got to tighten your lug nuts, which is nice to tell you. Right here, we have a nice little table tray. This drops down, a little dirty because of the wind and the dust, but this is just designed to set stuff on, use as a prep space or storage. Really only rated for 25, 30 pounds, so don't put a bunch of weight. This is not a seat for your children. Maybe a baby changing table, but that's about it. Depends on how big your baby is. I mentioned earlier there were speakers on your Bluetooth, and this is where the speakers are. The other one is over there. Nice lighting. You have 2 lights on this side, and of course the reason is because you got your prep space, you have your kitchen. The kitchens on the MDC are one of my favorite kitchens. I love how they utilize the storage, because this is a pretty large compartment, and generally they could just, you know, not do anything with the storage above the kitchen, but instead they actually put this little door right here, and this drops down, and then you have a super deep storage area. Look at this. You can put massive poles in here for your annex or for your tents. You can also put your light pole in here for the actual kitchen itself. I'll show you how that goes on in just 1 second. So first you grab this lever, it goes up and it rests right onto that, out of the way. Then you engage this lever and you pull out and make sure you lock that back in place. And this is a bottle opener with the MDC emblem right there. Very cool. And this slides all the way to here. Over on this side, I love that they've just put these straps down to hold the kitchen, so you know when you're driving it's not bouncing all over the place, because obviously this would easily bounce if it didn't have this. Once it's there, it just fits in place. Makes sense if you're off-roading. This comes up, this is your windshield, and of course these lift up and out of the way. It's really nice to have a windshield on days like today when it's really windy. This comes out because obviously these burners, you know, the wind can blow them out if you don't have a way to protect it from the wind. And that goes right flush onto this, and the wind is really blocked in this area. This right here, you got another strap, and then this comes up. There's these little things, these little levers that you have to engage. So you pull this out and you twist it, and then this thing will rotate. And then it goes up and locks in with these arms. And then you have a tray or a dish, a dry rack, whatever you want to use that for. And of course you have hot and cold water. And this water is all plumbed in, so you don't have to actually do anything. You just turn it on and you start using it in camping. You also do have some storage up here, a little cutlery drawer where you can have your utensils. This stovetop is one of the best stovetops I've ever experienced. It's not a grill, this is for pans and pots, but they put out a lot of heat. The BTUs on this, the large one right here is 9,800 BTUs, and this is 6,300, the small ones. Generally, the most common one that is in the industry on the off-road trailers, these slide-out kitchens, they usually use the Dometic, and the BTUs are almost half. The large BTU on that unit is 5,800, and the small ones are even less. So this thing cooks really, really good. I've used this, and after using this stove, you maybe want to wait 30 minutes for it to cool down before you put that glass back down. But there is your kitchen. Also, you do have a plug right here, and this is for 12 volt that you can be able to plug in. Of course, this leg goes under here, and there's actually a spot down here that it slides right in and gives you more support. Slides right into that hole, and then you can tighten it up, and it just gives more support to the overall kitchen. Of course, this goes back in, and this lever will lock in, but as an extra precaution, of course, you always want to engage that lock, and then you can store this back in this area. Let's move over to the compartment right here. All of these latches are locking to these right here. These are vents. So this is designed for your refrigerator. You can put a 12 volt refrigerator in this compartment, and you have the Anderson and the 12 volt plug. We'd recommend doing the Anderson, not the 12 volt, but it will work on either one. This is more reliable. Of course, you have a light in here, so you can see what you're doing at night in the dark. And then this will come out, and this is just, every MDC comes with a box with a bunch of goodies and stuff that you need right out of the gate. Things like wheel chocks, your pin that connects to your tow vehicle. So you'll come in with the hitch without the ball, and then we can install this for you. If you don't have a hitch, we can also get you a hitch while you're here for purchase. And that's how you'll hook up to the trailer from your truck. This entire container right here, this is designed to fit up to a 95 liter 12 volt refrigerator. I think I was running a 65 liter when we were on our trip, but this is a lot of space. Very, very nice. And that goes in. Locks, these do lock, but MDC, just as an extra precaution, they make these other locks, and it's really cool. This is on an L bracket. It's designed, integrated into the entire tray, and this is almost 1/8 inch thick steel. So it's very strong and robust. I would never expect for this latch to break. I love how they've carpeted it here. It's just lots of little touches and attention to detail that you don't always see on trailers. This is the area that you would expect some manufacturers just to, you know, kind of skimp. Okay, up front, I want to talk a little bit about this storage compartment, this front storage compartment. First of all, it's a patent design where they have this aerodynamics. In Australia, that's really important because a lot of people do these modifications that make their truck stick out. Here in the US, we don't have that issue, but still, this allows you to be able to jackknife or make really sharp turns, which is ideal. Generally, most of the off-road trailers I've seen, it's just kind of an afterthought where they just kind of buy a generic box that comes straight out. So this is all designed more aerodynamic with your diamond plate too as well. Of course, these are storage compartments. This one lifts up. You have a spot for jerry cans, so you can put water, fuel in here. You can remove that and just use this as a storage compartment. It's going to be pretty dust proof and also waterproof because you have a channel or a lip right here, and you have the sill. So if you are going to have water that runs off, it's going to come down and go down the channel and not into the compartment. This one right here is for your propane, and this one is going to be all open because it's required to be open. You can also put larger propane bottles in here. These are the 20 pounders. You can fit 30 pounders in here without any issue. Moving up to this last compartment, once again, you have jerry can holders, and easily remove those and put whatever else you want in there. These are very large spaces. And then also look at the gas struts, hold it up, and they're all attached to a piano hinge. So very robust. Let's move down into this area. right now. We have a jockey wheel, and this is the jack, how you actually are gonna lift the trailer off of the vehicle when you get to camp. But this wheel is pretty strong. Earlier, we actually rolled this entire trailer around up on the hill. Just 2 guys, 3 of us did it when we were hooking up. But the trailer is pretty easy to move around. If you actually need to roll it around in your garage, you could probably easily do that with, probably by yourself if it's a nice flat garage. With 2 people, no problem. We were on a pretty uneven, rocky ground, and we were rolling it around on this wheel to be able to get it hooked up. And that's really cool because all you need to do is back it up close to the truck, and you're able to kind of use some muscle to put it right onto the hitch. And that makes it more convenient for you. Moving up here, we have our handbrake, and that is going to brake your wheels when you get to camp. Of course, we would always recommend that you also chalk your wheels as a extra precaution. And up here, we have our Anderson plug, and this is going to allow you to utilize that DC to DC charger on the BM Pro and be able to charge off of your batteries much faster. Right here, we have the 7-pin, and of course, this is designed for lights, you know, signals, and also your brakes here in the US. So that's very important to have set up when you come. You have a breakaway cable, and what this does is this pulls, if you were ever to have the vehicle disconnect, this would pull and engage your brakes on the road. And then of course we have these safety chains, and these things are massive. We're hooked up right now. I'm gonna pull this off to showcase how big these things are. This chain is massive. You could potentially do some CrossFit with these if you wanted to. These are the biggest chains I've ever seen on trailers. Looks more like a boat chain than anything. Of course, we're sitting on the hitch itself is a Cruisemaster DO35, and this is a fully articulating hitch, and it will go up and down in washes or side to side for camber if you're off camber on hills. And then this, of course, snaps on when you're driving in transit. Also, these safety chains, when you're not using them, you can actually store them right there, which is cool. There's just a little attention to detail on the units, because a lot of times most manufacturers won't give you stuff like that. They just expect you to have them lay on the ground or just kind of dangle them over somewhere. By design, there's some attention for you and intention to the detail. Also, this right here, cool thing, they talk about tightening your lugs, and this is a little diagram, and it teaches you how to tighten your lugs. A lot of people don't realize that you don't just go in a circle. You do like a star pattern. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that means your lugs on your wheels, if you ever have to change out a wheel, it tightens up evenly across the thing. And like, this is one of the things that I think is so important. Owner's manuals, instructions. We've carried trailers over the years where literally there's no instruction from the manufacturer. It's kind of like, take the trailer, good luck, have a nice life, right? And people go out there and they're so intimidated, they're so scared, they don't know what to do. MDC, you see that with all of the, you know, the checklist right next to the door. You have a massive checklist right next to the door. It tells you all the things you need to do before you depart from camp. You have instructions on how to properly tighten your lugs. They have videos. If you jump on their YouTube channel, Steve, he has a masterclass series where he teaches you, if you wanted to do your own bearings and grease your own bearings, you could, because of the videos that they offer to you. They show you how to set everything up, how to operate things. Now, personally, here in the US, I just take it to a Les Schwab, have them do my bearings. I don't want to deal with it. You do that once a year, or, you know, every 5 to 10,000 miles, depending on how rough you're using it. Lots of water crossings, you do it more frequently. But it's really cool that they give that information to the users, to the owners. And it just shows that they care more than just making a transaction on a trailer. They actually care that you're having a good experience, and that's really important. Well, there you have it. The Forte 9 Plus. This is the rear entry by MDC. Really cool trailer. Hopefully I got most of the specs. I'm sure I've missed something. Feel free to make comments down below and ask us anything, and we'll answer questions. Man, like, what's so cool about these trailers and any off-road trailers is getting you to places that you can't go with anything else. You know, from on top of a mountain to crazy winds to inside of a cave. It's now snowing, right? It's crazy. But if I was out in a tent, this would be a miserable day. For me, it's like, yeah, it's cold being outside, but as soon as we're done filming, we're going inside where it's nice and warm and we can enjoy ourselves for the rest of this trip. But thanks for watching. We love MDC. We're so grateful to be able to be collaborating and working with them here in the US. They're really, truly, you can tell that they care about the customers. You know, from the owner to all the people that work at the manufacturer, they use the campers, they go out and test them so that you, as an owner, can have a unique experience and a good experience. So thanks for watching. You got questions, go down below. There's a link. There's a brochure down there. You can click on it. You can find out about pricing. You're interested in ordering one of these or getting one of these, just reach out to our sales coaches here at ROA Off-Road. We have a location in South Carolina and in Utah. So if you want to see one of these, we're sending one out to South Carolina next week. By the time you've seen this video, there should be one in South Carolina. We also have a show model in Utah. So reach out to us and you can come and check them out. Our number is 801-860-0035. And you can actually text that number and just ask for questions on this, and we'd love to help you out. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Let's go on an adventure. Woo, woo, woo.